Good afternoon. We'd like to welcome everyone to our community forum here at Northern Michigan University. President Fritz Erickson has joined us. My name is Derek Hall. I'm Chief Marketing Officer and will be hosting. We'd like to welcome members of our community, business leaders. We know we have some NME retirees out there who are checking in on us. We also have some staff members from the legislative offices. So we welcome all of you to this conversation. We're going to hear first from President Erickson, and then we're going to open it up to questions and answers. And if you notice at the bottom of the screen, there's a Q&A button. That's where you will submit questions, and then I will share those with President Erickson at the end. We're not using the chat button, we're using the Q&A button. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Fritz Erickson.
Thanks, Derek. Appreciate it. It's nice to be with everyone virtually, although I have to say I'm really looking forward to doing one of these things in person like I know everyone else is. It's been a long, hard slog for the past year, but there's light at the end of this tunnel. We're all very excited at Northern about getting back to a more normal set of operations, and big part of that is being able to connect with people face to face once again. I thought what I'd do today is just kind of give you a little bit of an overview of some of the lessons that we have learned over the course of this past year, but also really spend some time talking about what it is that we're planning for the fall and the kinds of things we're going through to get ready for next year, which we're all very excited about. You know, one of the things that I've learned is that for so many of us, we were ending up doing two jobs. I know for me, I have my pandemic job, which is a full-time job, dealing with all of the issues related to making sure we keep our campus and community as safe as we possibly can, and how we can keep moving forward as an institution. As you well know, we made the commitment to be open throughout the pandemic, and we've been very successful with that. We didn't close dorms, we didn't send kids home. We provided the opportunity for people to be here. And there are many lessons that we've learned from that. One, of course, is how do you deal with this during a crisis and do your other real job, which is everything else that we do, and try and find ways in which we balance that. And so for our leadership team, great deal of shout outs go to our entire leadership for figuring out ways in which we could constantly be flexible and adaptable to changing situations. It was not uncommon for us, think we're going one way in the morning, by the afternoon, the situation changed, so we pivot and move. And I really appreciate that. A big part of what allowed us to do that is the wonderful support and engagement we had from our board of trustees. They played truly a pivotal role in all the successes that we have, and I'm just deeply appreciative of that. Our faculty, of course, have learned an awful lot, and staff as well, on how to do things differently while keeping everything safe. For the faculty, I went in once and I did a guest lecture in a class that had part of the class in front of me, live and direct interaction, which is what I'm used to. And then part of the class was Zooming in. And it was like teaching two classes at one time. And I have just tremendous admiration for our faculty and staff that figured out really interesting ways of making sure our students could get the very best education possible. And of course, our students learned a lot. They learned how to adjust to new environments, to learn the new learning tools that were out there, kind of figuring out their role and responsibilities in helping keep our campus and community safe, finding new ways to do student activities. College is very much about a lot of social engagement. How can you do that in an era of COVID? And those are really important lessons. Other things that we learned that good technology high-speed broadband are absolutely critical for a rural environment and a rural agenda. Because of NMU's long-standing laptop program, the addition of the EAN network, we were able to switch to remote a year ago and do it over a weekend. It was a remarkable accomplishment that happened. But in addition, we were able to provide our community so many access point to our EAN broadband network. We know we help an awful lot of UP K-12 schools and thousands of UP families who didn't have access to the internet before, but had it through the pandemic. And we're very appreciative of their ability to get on, stay engaged, and continue to move forward. I can't imagine trying to deal with the pandemic and children at home without access to the internet. I know for me, I think I've now completed everything that's watchable on Netflix, and gee, without the internet, I don't think I could have done that. One of the things we learned was how important, and reiterated how important our relationships are with various community groups and so forth. Big shout out to our friends at the Marquette County Health Department. As many of you know, they've done an absolutely outstanding job in the Northern Center, providing vaccines and setting up a system that has been smooth, that has been responsive, and we expect that to just continue forward as people are getting those vaccines. Of course, it's been more than vaccines with them. It's been very much about providing updates and keeping us engaged in what the latest research and scientific information is out there in terms of providing guidance on how we can manage as well. One of the things that I've always been very proud of at Northern is how nimble we are as an institution. And COVID and our response has really been an indication of that. And we continue to be nimble, we continue to be responsive. We decided not to allow COVID to slow us down in so many different ways. And the last thing sort of on this list is that we learned that what students want most of all is face-to-face learning. For all of the hype and discussion about MOOCs and online learning and so forth, which all have a very important place, college students want the interactive experience of face-to-face learning. We've heard that repeatedly, and that's really been guiding us in our preparations for the fall. Just before I jump to that, a couple of quick updates. I'm sure you've been following our NMU dashboard. Several of us look at it multiple times a day. If you've noticed throughout the winter semester, for the most part, we've had 0 cases, though we did get the slightest of upticks. I think this morning we had 15 active cases, or a 0.23%, which is incredibly low. Interestingly enough, most of those come through athletic engagement for a variety of reasons. Athletics and sports cause a couple of those things, but learned how to manage those and handle them quite well. One of the things too we're very pleased with and think it was really helpful is this semester we doubled our mass testing efforts. We tested 300 people every Monday. Instead of alternating weeks and so forth, we did 300 students from the residence halls, and then 300 students, faculty, staff who live off campus on the alternating days. And then you add to that, of course, all the athletes that we test 6 times a week. You can see it was a pretty aggressive campaign. And we think that was really important in helping us be able to move forward with that. We followed a lot of protocols. A lot of the students did, the vast majority of the students did a terrific job doing what it is that we asked them to do. One of the things that we did put in place was a set of visitor restrictions. But I'm really happy to report that we've set June 15th as the day that we'll be able to lift all or most of the visitor restrictions. And in fact, one of the things we're doing right now is we're going through a whole series of safety protocols so that we can, it's not like we'll just flip the switch on June 15th. We have all kinds of groups that are interested in developing safety protocols to be able to open up sooner. And so we have a lot of groups on campus that are doing that. So you will see the campus truly come back to life over the next several weeks as we go through those processes. For summer, interestingly enough, summer is typically our students do online courses in the summer. So we don't see a lot of change, although we will have some face-to-face courses, labs, and so forth that we would normally do in the summer. So those things are falling in place. And right now we're working very hard on, and should be making announcements pretty quick, on summer camps and how they'll open up and be accessible and available. We get a lot of kids that come for camps, whether they're athletic camps and academic camps and music camp, all of those kinds of things. We expect that to be the case. And so as we look towards the fall, our goal is really simple, and that is to be back fully operational as we were in 2019. That's our expectation. That's our plan. Our teams are working very hard on putting those action steps in place so we can meet that as close as we possibly can. And so various groups across campus are setting that up. We see no reason at this point in time why that shouldn't happen. And so we really do look forward to the vibrancy that we would normally have on campus fully returning. All the kinds of activities, engagements, and going to football games and volleyball games and hockey games and all of those things were really slated to come back face to face. However, at the same time, we're making all the contingency plans that we need because we still live in an unknown time. So while we're making all these plans, we'll have contingencies if we need them. Again, our commitment has always been to follow the science and follow the directives of the CDC and the Michigan Department of Health and Human Services. So we'll continue to do that. But we expect once the end of August comes that we'll be clearly back to back and ready to go for the fall. Couple of other things. I get asked an awful lot about vaccines. One of the things that we did, of course, I mentioned we're doing the partnership with Marquette County Health Department and the vaccine site that's been running very well over at the Northern Center. But we've also have the ability to do vaccines ourselves. And we put the whole set of protocols and procedures to vaccinate anybody and everybody on our campus that wants to be vaccinated. And my hope for the fall is that instead of running testing, that we'll be able to run a vaccine site. So everything's ready to go. The critical element is, of course, getting the vaccines. Although, given more recent developments, I'm feeling pretty optimistic that we're going to start getting an allocation. And once we do, we'll follow the same procedures and order that the county health department does. And but again, I think the idea of getting vaccines available for everybody is going to be absolutely critical for us to have that successful fall opening with that. So looking forward to that. One of the challenges that we've had this year has been the number, we've lost some students. This last fall, we had a 4.2% decline in student enrollment, followed by the winter. Normally what you expect is you expect the winter enrollment to have declined at the same rate that happened in the fall. What we saw was about another 2.8 to 3% decline in the winter. There were a lot of kids that I talked to and their parents that just decided to stay home this past semester. We're working very hard to bring them all back, and we'll be seeing a lot of effort put into how those, how we can make it easy and inform folks and do a whole series of things that really encourage people to continue to come. For example, one of the things we're working on right now is an opportunity for students and their families to come up and experience Northern. Do some fat tire bike riding, do some hiking, do a conference approach to experiencing Northern. And so our team is working very hard on getting that set up for the summer. I think it's going to be a great thing. It's going to draw a lot of folks to our campus and to our community. I think it'll be a very positive addition for us. Of course, everything isn't COVID. This is a budget season in Lansing. And so you may have seen that the governor announced on her State of the State address, which was back in end of January. Her budget suggested a 2% increase for Michigan's 15 public university, which is kind of a combination of COVID relief funding, annual performance funding, and so forth. I did have the opportunity to give testimony to the House Appropriations Subcommittee on Higher Education on February 25th. I've been told that there's a chance that the House and Senate committees are trying to complete their budgets here in the next couple of weeks before they head out on break. I'm certainly hoping of that. As soon as we can get those numbers, and as soon as there's a resolution to the budget, we'll be in good shape to set tuition by early summer. And we like to set tuition as early as we possibly can. So we'll be making recommendations to the board as soon as we have a little bit more concrete information on what the budget situation is coming out of Lansing. I would give one additional thing. This in December, we found out that our capital outlay project supporting Northern's career tech and engineering programs was included in lame duck. And so that means that we'll receive $20 million for career and technical education, and are really looking forward to a facility that will really just enhance our commitment to the career and technical programs that we've had for so many years. The facility that they're in clearly needs updating, but we're going to explore as many different opportunities as we can to make sure we provide really the finest career and technical education programs anywhere in the state. And it's not just enough for us to fix a roof, put in new windows, make it look pretty. This is about transforming how you educate people for the next generation of career and technical fields. And I think it's a terribly exciting area, something that I'm very much looking forward to do. It's just kind of part of our can-do attitude. And I tell you, one of the things is that I really do want to give a shout out to all of the donors that have stepped up and continued to support the university and our students. It's made a difference in the lives of so many students and the programs that we have. And so look forward to that continued support. And I see you're going to see some of the fruits of that work coming out here pretty shortly, or at least I certainly hope so. Speaking of planning, one of the things we are working on is how do you plan for a post-pandemic world? And so we've been having wonderful conversations about doing the kinds of strategic initiatives that really keep the institution moving forward. There have been a couple of things that I think are really important to point out as part of that. One is we had launched the Center for Rural Health, which is now under the direction of Elise Burr, and the creation of what we call our SISU Innovation Institute, which is being guided by Brittany Polk. Brittany will be joining us here in May. She's moving up from Phoenix, and I had a wonderful opportunity to talk with her about the possibilities that exist for new and exciting programs and innovation. And I think between the Rural Center and the SISU Institute, there's a real opportunity for us to continue to develop cutting edge programs that not only serve our students, but serve our community. And I think, we've seen some amazing things happen because of the creativity of our faculty and staff and community. And I expect that to be not only continue, but to just grow and expand. By the way, Brittany and Elise are holding 2 virtual open house events next week, and I certainly would encourage you to attend. I think you'll find them both delightful. From 1 to 2 on Thursday, March 25th, and then again, they'll do it from 11 to noon on March 26th. If you'd like to register, or if you'd like the links to register to attend, just shoot your name to nmupres@nmu.edu, and we'll make sure you get all that information to attend. So I can go on and on and on, which occupational hazard I normally would do. But why don't I open it up for questions and or comments and see what's on your mind?
Great, thanks, President. We do have a couple questions in the queue already, so we'd encourage people to type your questions in the Q&A section. Our first question is in reference to orientations. We're wondering if our orientations are going to be virtual or in person. It's usually a very busy time on campus, but what's it going to look like this summer?
So with orientation, we had to make the decision on whether to be face-to-face or virtual really last December, because it takes such enormous planning. And the situation on the ground at that time would not have allowed us to have the large-scale gatherings that we typically have. So we are doing much of the orientation virtually, but in addition to that, we're going to do the Northern experience. And the goal is to have students and their families come to Marquette and come to Northern and participate throughout the summer. We expect there to be multiple sessions and sections so that parents and students can get all their questions answered, participate in the life of the university and in the community in the summer, but still have, so much of the, it's probably not the right way to say it, but the sort of how do you pay your bill orientation. People need to know, how do you pay your bill and all those kinds of things. But the focus is really going to try and be on that Northern experience as much as we can get.
Thank you. Appreciate that. So it was recently announced the partnership with the We Care organization. Do you know what data and need was behind that decision?
Yeah, so what happened is that our human resources office had heard from so many folks about the need for providing some level of childcare on our campus. And so we had a team that explored what were the best ways to be able to address childcare needs, and came up with this idea of participating in with We Care, which is very much about connecting people. It's about connecting people with childcare needs with those that provide childcare needs. And so that's the approach we're going to try and experiment and see how it goes. I think it's a laudable thing to try and see if that approach will work. So ask me in a year and we'll have some data on whether or not it was successful or not.
Great. Also, another question about events and things happening on campus. Our Northern Center, a new facility that we got a chance to use for a brief period of time. Any idea when we'll be able to have weddings and community events and things like that back in the Northern
So,
Center?
yeah, they're over there working on it. So if I would encourage folks that to get over there, and if you're going to get a wedding, get it booked. Our date is June 15th. That's our, I don't want to say a magic date, but that's the date that we're shooting for everything, for visitors and so forth to become. And I know Tom Helmgren and all the folks over there are anxiously awaiting to welcome everyone back to the Northern Center, as well as getting some of the other things open and available. I'm anxious, for example, to get the Wildcat Den back up and going. We built this wonderful restaurant and gathering and connecting place as part of the Northern Center. And so I keep poking at Tom, like, can we open? Can we open? Can we open? And we're getting there.
Yeah, I know weddings in the 2022 are booking up. So
Yes.
if there's any out there, contact
Well,
them. They are booking events.
They do. I have, this is a real shout out. They do an extraordinary job, and they do other kinds of wedding venues as well. Last year we did, or summer before last, we did because the Northern Center was double booked. We ended up doing a wedding in the ice rink. I went over there to check it out. I was a little concerned. It was the coolest setup, I'm sure my son got married the year before. I'm sure if he'd have known he could have gotten married on an ice rink, he would have gone that direction. I don't know whether his wife Jessica would have, but it really was a remarkable thing to set up and do.
Yeah, those were some great photos from that wedding.
Yeah.
Another question. I know COVID has impacted students of color and lower income disproportionately. And are there programs to help them? And kind of related to that, what is NMU doing to support the more diverse student population in the Marquette community?
Very important question. A couple of things are in play right now. One of the things that we were very fortunate to have was our chief diversity officer really focused on a lot of efforts and activities to create high levels of engagement on our campus, as well as recruiting students. Jessica was running a very successful AIM North program that recruited students, ran numbers of wonderful events and so forth. Fortunately for Jessica, we always wish people the very best, and unfortunate for us, Jessica took a job at another institution in Ann Arbor, but I'm not going to say which one. So we are in a bit of a transition. We've asked Leora Lancaster, although I think she got married and changed her name. We asked Leora, she would step in on an interim basis along with Leslie Larkin. I know many folks know Leslie, and the two are kind of tag teaming while we were doing a comprehensive review of our diversity and inclusion efforts. In fact, as I look in terms of strategic initiatives for the institution, one of the most critical is how we look to the future of our diversity and inclusion efforts. And a couple of really good ideas is the President's Council on Diversity is being charged with taking a comprehensive look at making sure we're doing that. One of the things that I'm really excited about is we expect to convert much of the third floor of Hedgecock into really a cultural center. We think that'll be an ideal place. We're looking to move housing out so we can have a lot of space, make it available all the time. It's a true center of engagement. And so as we move through that, as we move through deciding what that structure of the Office of Diversity and Inclusion is going to look like, I think we're going to be on a very good path.
Great. How about speaking towards another strategic initiative in sustainability? What is the university doing in that area?
Sustainability is one of the core issues for us at the university, and we've got several activities going on now that we think are important, and I think several activities that are right on the horizon for us. Certainly, the launching of the Green Fund is going to be really an important tool. You know, our students came to us and they asked if they could have a fee that they would be able to opt into to create a fund to support sustainability efforts on campus. I give great credit for our students to say, we think issues of sustainability are important and we want to put up some dollars to make sure that we're able to do things. And so we have a group called Eco Reps, and they've been looking at a whole series of strategies. In fact, I just saw their budget yesterday about all the activities that are planned for continuing to move us forward with that. Of course, sustainability also means several other things on our campus, and we will be exploring how do we move an institution closer to carbon neutrality than we are now. And I think there's some real opportunities on the horizon. Everything from, you know, Mike Bath called me a couple of days ago and said, it's time to buy a new police car. So we charged Mike with, okay, Mike, see if you can get an electric police car. And apparently, I then subsequently learned, a police car is not just a car, it has to meet all these standards, of which there are no electric cars quite yet that do that, but there is a hybrid. So we'll start there. So I think there's a lot of activities around issues of sustainability and the environment. They are central and core to who we are as an institution, and we'll continue that commitment.
Great. Major construction. What's in the near future for Northern? Are we going to see some cranes in the air?
I love cranes in the air. There's nothing more fun than cranes in the air. And so we're working on a couple of projects right now, certainly working very closely with the NMU Foundation for that. Our two target facilities right now are to do a College of Business and build it right there where McClintock is, and or just to the right or left, depending on which way you're looking, I guess. Anyway, we think the College of Business is really important. I see great promise for the future of our College of Business, particularly if we focus that college around rural economies. And there's just so many opportunities for us to grow and develop that. I'm very pleased with the work that Carol Johnson and the faculty are doing. You know, those poor folks are stuck in Cohodes Hall with, you know, a bunch of administrators. They need to be in the heart of our academic mall. So the College of Business is truly a central piece to us moving forward. And then secondly, I had mentioned career in tech. And so we're working very hard on that and are working towards the idea. We haven't been able to figure out if we can make it work yet, but in a perfect world, I'd rather build a new Jacob Eddy and do that than renovate the existing Jacob Eddy and build that new one right in the heart of our campus. If you're going to make the statement of career and technical programs being central to who we are and our mission, that kind of facility needs to be in the heart of our campus. So we're exploring to see whether there are ways in which we can do that or not. So, you know, we'll all keep our fingers crossed to see whether or not we can begin to move at least on those two things. But, you know, we completed the campus master plan, and we didn't do the campus master plan as a wish list. We didn't do it as something we maybe one day this will happen. We did this with the expectation that we were going to build out this campus master plan as quickly as possible. And we did it with the last campus master plan. If you look back at the previous campus master plan, within 10 years, we accomplished it. This one, I want to do a whole lot faster than 10 years.
Related to that, what about that old hospital next door? Anything happening there that you've heard of, or is there any need that the university might have for those facilities?
Yeah, there's the old adage, if I had a nickel for every time someone asked me about the hospital. The hospital is a life point issue. We have great relations, particularly with Gar and his team over at the Marquette General Hospital. They do a terrific job. They're great partners with us. But this is very much their building and facility. And we're open and amenable to all kinds of partnerships with it. The problem for us in actually taking it is there's way too much space for what it is that we could do and reasonably use and so forth. So we're hoping somebody eventually comes along, and we're hoping we'll have an opportunity to partner with them. We think if we do partner with whoever will come along, at some point something has to happen, with it. At some point, we hope that it'll really create a vibrant addition to the community.
Perfect segue to the next question, a vibrant part of the community. What do you see in store for arts and entertainment on campus?
Arts and entertainment, a lot. I think half my job sometime is trying to contain Bill Dignite and all of his ideas. I mean, Bill is such a creative and energetic guy. The kinds of things where I'd like to see us go is and I've talked to Bill about this, and boy, you give Bill a hinkling of an idea and he's just races with it. There's so many communities that have used the arts as a real draw and a central piece, say in the summers. And I think we could put on summer arts programs that are real draws. And I mentioned to Bill, I'd like to give the folks at Strathclyde that do the Shakespeare stuff a real run for their money on what they do. Not that I'm necessarily saying we ought to do Shakespeare, but I think there's a real opportunity. And, if we can figure out a way, maybe get do something more with the Forrest Roberts Theater, create a couple of different kinds of venues, we could really develop something, I think, that could expand the role of the arts. I've seen it happen in so many places. And Marquette is the place that has just so many natural draws. If we add a comprehensive university summer arts program and expand on the great work that they've already done, I think the future is incredibly bright.
Yeah, our campus in the summer is a great resource, absolutely.
Yeah.
What about an update on the Wildcat Relief Fund for students?
I don't have the numbers on it, but that's been one of the most important funds that we've had on our campus. A lot of us give to that fund because what happens is we have a lot of kids that all of a sudden, they have $100 problem and no place to solve $100 problem or a $500 or whatever it is. And so the idea that we can help students for all kinds of things. You break your glasses or something. If you don't have the resources, how are you going to learn in a classroom? If you wear glasses like me and you break them, I mean, I'd have no chance. So while I don't know what the fund balance is right now, it's been very, very successful. And I look forward to doing more events to help continue to build up that fund and develop it. We did the Green and Gold Gala a couple of years ago. I'm really excited to get that one back. That's, we may not be ready for it yet this fall with all the stuff that's gone on. But as soon as we can get the Wildcat Gala back and find places, Maybe we'll do it for the Wildcat Relief Fund again. Maybe we'll do it for something else. But for all of those that have contributed to that, of all the funds, that one's pretty near and dear to my heart.
Absolutely. And we always welcome additional funds in that anytime. So those are the questions we have in the queue. I'm going to end with a shout out, and then I'll turn it to you for some last comments, and looks like we'll wrap it up. The shout out comes from a stranger, Rick Pop. Do you know that name?
Yeah, I've heard that name before.
Okay. Says, keep up the good work, Fritz. Fritz and the NMU team are doing a great job. So thank you, Rick, for that. And we'll leave it for final comment from you, President.
Yeah, well, thank you very much. Like you, I really miss seeing everybody and, touching base. And someone said, though, to me the other day, and I've really thought about it a lot. We have to keep our eye moving forward. We haven't crossed the end zone line yet. We haven't scored the touchdown and completed COVID. And someone said to me, we can't afford to spike the ball on the 5-yard line. So we're as optimistic as anybody. We see a very bright future, but we're not ready to spike the ball. We're going to keep doing what it is that we've done to keep us as successful and safe as we have been, and look forward to a very bright fall semester. So thank you all very much. Really appreciate your time today.
Great. Thanks, President. Again, if you have any questions, please email NMUPres, NMUPRES @nmu.edu. We welcome questions at any time. Thanks for spending your lunch hour with us, and we look forward to